Hello everybody, this is aWESome Nutrition and welcome to a little tasty morsel of nutritional information. We're going to talk today about the importance of protein. I've been asked a few really good questions lately about the importance of protein, why it's so important. Also, if people are getting enough protein in their diet, and if they're not getting enough protein in their diet, how they do get enough protein in their diet. So over the next few slides, we're going to go through the importance of protein and hopefully answer some of these burning questions for you. So let's start, everyone. Protein is not just for building big muscles. This is a really important thing to understand. Eating a lot of protein is not going to make you like this guy here. He's pretty buff, isn't he? And it says here, guys, that there is substantial evidence that supports the increased consumption of high quality protein to achieve optimal health outcomes. And that's true. Protein's really important. We're going to go through the functions and the benefits of protein in a moment. But just a note on this, especially for women, women get a little bit concerned sometimes when we tell them about increasing their protein intake. You're not going to get big and bulky by eating a lot of protein. In order to get like this guy here, you basically need, yes, to eat a lot of protein, but you also need to train a lot and very heavily with a lot of weight to stimulate your muscle. And then also you need to eat in quite a big calorie surplus as well. So to give the muscle energy to grow. So when we look at weight loss diets and maintenance diets, actually when we train with a good amount of weight, with resistance training, and we eat a lot of protein, if we're not in a calorie surplus, we're not actually going to get big muscles. We're actually going to get leaner. We're going to get smaller. We're going to burn through a lot of our fat tissue as we diet. And yeah, as I say, we get smaller from training and eating more protein rather than bigger. We get bigger muscles by eating in a calorie surplus. So basically eating high protein and high carbohydrate. That's how we get it. So just to put that to bed really, so that people can stop worrying too much about increasing their protein intake and ending up looking like this guy here. The functions of protein, other than building muscle, dietary protein has many functions. For the transport of hemoglobin in your red blood cells. So your hemoglobin is the protein in your blood that makes it red, and it's important for the transport of your red blood cells. It's important for enzyme functions. It's important for your hormones, really important for your hormones, in fact. It's really important for your immune function. It's important for fluid balance, like fluid retention or less fluid retention. It's good for your energy balance, really good for that. And it's also, of course, it's good, important for structural, for your skeletal muscle. It also has a lot of benefits, as well as multiple functions. Dietary protein also has a lot of health benefits. Again, it's really important for your immune function. It's important for healthy hair and skin, or hair and skin, as I would say. And it's important for weight loss. It's really important. Well, it's not important, but it does increase satiety. So it makes you feel fuller for longer. You've probably heard that a lot, but it really is true. It has a high thermic effect of food. So basically, this means that when we eat something, and we digestion of food burns calories. It takes energy in order to do that. Now, we're not talking a lot of food here. We're not talking a lot of calories here, sorry. It's just a slight increase in your calorie burn as you digest a meal. But protein creates the highest thermic effect, so the highest calorie burn. So it is good for that. But we're not talking any kind of calorie burn as in for losing weight or burning fat or anything like that. And it's also good for muscle retention, as we just said as well. So going through a couple of these benefits, guys, increased satiety. So protein is well known to satisfy a hunger for long periods of time. Higher protein diets improve satiety and lead to greater reductions in body weight and fat mass compared to regular protein diets. So when we put somebody on a weight loss diet, we will increase their protein intake. And it says here that consuming regular amounts of protein, as little as 20 grams per serving can also limit spontaneous energy intake, like or snacking, basically. So this is the study that they did here, if you wanted to have a look at it. But yeah, this is basically the fact that protein increases satiety is basically why we put people on weight loss diets, we increase their protein intake. Looking at muscle retention as well. So again, we're not just looking at diets here all the time, but it is a focus for most people. During periods of weight loss or fat loss, because weight loss and fat loss is actually different, we can lose weight very quickly. Fat loss takes a little bit longer. We can lose weight by and gain weight just by eating. If you eat a meal and you go and weigh yourself after you've eaten the meal compared to before you've eaten the meal, you will weigh heavier. But that doesn't mean that you're fatter, that you've put fat on. It's just that you weigh heavier. There's food in your gut, so you weigh heavier. So that is different. Weight loss and fat loss is different, which is important to understand. So it says, during periods of weight loss and fat loss, it's important to preserve lean body mass and muscle tissue during the process so that we're burning fat and not muscle when we're dieting. And in order to achieve this, higher intakes of protein are recommended during these weight loss periods. So as we said, so we're burning more fat rather than muscle tissue and retaining the muscle that we have during a weight loss stroke fat loss diet. Also, guys, just a little bit here on, we'll come to this age-related sarcopenia in a second. It says, after many scientific studies and analysis, it has been shown that high protein diets, so between 16 and 45% of your total daily calorie intake, creates greater weight loss, lower BMI overall, so your body mass index will decrease over time. It will lower your waist circumference, and it will also lower your blood pressure. So scientific studies, this was one of the studies here that they did to get these results. Again, if you wanted to check it out. And then over here, guys, it talks about higher protein intakes may also prevent age-related sarcopenia. So as we get older, age-related sarcopenia is basically the age-related illness that predisposes older adults to frailty, disability, and loss of autonomy due to the progressive and generalized loss of skeletal muscle mass and strength. It's kind of inevitable that this happens as we get older. It's age-related, so it does happen. But the more that we train and exercise with resistance training to stimulate your muscles to grow and retain the muscle mass that you have, that's really beneficial. So as we say here, feed and train your grandma like a bodybuilder. So as we get older, we do need to train a little bit more and a little bit harder than we do when we're younger, unfortunately. And yes, and we need to make sure that we're intaking an adequate amount of protein as well to prevent or to hold off age-related sarcopenia. So one of your questions here was, am I getting enough protein? So looking at protein, 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories. Yeah, so that's the basic maths behind it. Very, very simple. And what we've got here, guys, is just a scale of protein intake. So 0.8 grams per kilo of body weight is what that's showing. Or below that, you would actually be quite protein deficient. So going back to the functions and the benefits, if we are protein deficient, those functions and those benefits, those functions would start to decline, and those health benefits, you wouldn't be getting those health benefits from this amount of protein. So it is quite important that we look at how much we're eating and try and increase it or maintain it at a really good level. A lot of us, guys, I would say, when I first look at somebody's diet, when I'm working with a weight loss client or doing nutritional consultations, I do find that people are quite deficient in protein a lot of the time in their regular diet. Not necessarily as low as this, but I do find that people don't get enough protein in the diet, and it's something that I always focus on first to try and increase, and people really struggle to get enough protein in, especially people who are vegetarian. Now that's not a problem if you're vegetarian. We're going to cover that in a moment, but it is a little bit harder to get enough protein in if you are a vegetarian. Also, the quality of the protein is a little bit different from a vegetarian diet. But what we're looking at when we do look at people's protein intake, to take them from here to a more optimal range, we then look at the protein intake between 1.2 grams and 1.6 grams per kilo of body weight. So that's the optimal area here, just for general health. As it says here, guys, it says current evidence indicates of high quality. I should actually rewrite that. I'm very sorry. Current evidence indicates that intakes of high quality protein. Oh no, it's right. In the range of at least 1.2 to 1.6 per kilo of body weight is an ideal target for achieving optimal health. Okay, so that's something that to keep in mind, and that's where we want most people to be, is around here. Now, going higher than that, so 2 kilograms or more, is optimal also, but more for muscle building and also retention. So going back to the age-related sarcopenia portion, if we are getting a little bit older, a little more mature in our years, then we would probably look at increasing your protein up a little bit higher. As we said, feed and train your grandma like a bodybuilder. So we would give them more exercise, more weight-bearing exercise, and we would feed them a little bit more protein to help muscle retention and a little bit of extra muscle building as well. Also, this is the area that bodybuilders would be in as well. So they would be 2 grams per kilo of body weight or more, sometimes up to 3 or 4 grams per kilo of body weight. Now that's a lot of protein, but they would need it if they are trying to build a lot of muscle. And what do we mean by high quality protein, guys? So we're talking about complete protein. So high quality protein is complete protein. Complete proteins contain all of our essential amino acids, which is basically what protein is made of. Protein is made of a string of amino acids, and those amino acids, the way that they are in that chain, creates different kinds of protein. So complete proteins contain all essential amino acids in adequate amounts, and basically these are all animal-based protein sources. So your chicken, fish, beef, eggs and things like that, they're all animal-based source of protein, and they're all complete proteins, which is high quality protein. Now, it's not to say that incomplete proteins and plant-based proteins are not high quality. They do really still count. However, it does say here, incomplete proteins are deficient in at least one essential amino acid. So we're not getting all of them from incomplete proteins, and these are usually plant-based sources of protein. So in order to get complete proteins from a vegetarian diet, it just says that combining food sources is important for vegetarians. A mixed diet will do this, as you will get different essential amino acids from different sources. So the fact that you are a vegetarian, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to worry about not getting enough protein. It's basically that you just need to make sure that you have a very varied and mixed diet in order to get enough essential amino acids to create complete proteins in the process. So as we mentioned earlier, guys, you can work out your protein requirement using this equation here. So your body weight in kilos times that by a number between 1.2 and 1.6. So for an example here, if someone is 70 kilos, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. If somebody's 70 kilos, excuse me, we'll times that, say we take 1.4, and that would be 98 grams of protein. And it says here, guys, that this number can be adjusted depending on your activity and your lifestyle. If you're a little bit more active, you can probably afford to take in a little bit more protein. If you're not so active, probably keep it around the lower range. That'll be absolutely fine. And if you're unsure still, speak to your nutrition coach for advice. So you can always come to me and ask me for advice on this, on what number to choose. So once you have your number, we're taking the example here of 98 grams of protein, you can then aim to consume that amount of protein per day for your optimal health. So that's it basically. You would then go away and you would consume that amount of protein per day and you should be absolutely fine. But 100 grams of protein, so a protein source, does not equal 100 grams of protein. Now that's quite confusing, all right? So, but don't stress, I'm gonna show you some slides here that's gonna clear that up a little bit. But yeah, basically, if you take 100 grams of a protein source, so say 100 grams of chicken, which is the easiest protein source that everyone goes to, that chicken, 100 grams of protein, sorry, 100 grams of chicken doesn't contain 100 grams of protein, right? So if we look at the next slide here, I've listed a couple of things here for you, and you can, there's a PDF version of this, guys, as well, so you can take this away with you and you can have this as a resource. But basically what I've listed here, these are for non-vegetarian diets, and we're going to come to vegetarian diets in a moment. So the following serving sizes of these protein sources all contain 25 grams of protein. I've also included the calorie content for your convenience or your interest as well. We're not going to worry too much about calories, but basically 110 grams of chicken contains 25 grams of protein. And if you look at salmon, so 100 grams of salmon contains 25 grams of protein. 4 whole eggs contain 25 grams of protein, and so on. The easiest way to get protein in, though, guys, if you look at this here, is 30 grams of whey protein powder. Don't be scared of protein powders. A few people have asked me about that as well. Again, protein powders are associated with the gym and bodybuilding. Please don't worry about protein powder. They're very safe. If you get some nice flavored ones, they're not too artificial. They're really tasty. They're a great way to get extra protein into your diet for a small amount. So you're only having 30 grams. So like 1 scoop of whey protein powder is 25 grams of protein, which is about 30 grams compared to eating 4 whole eggs or 120 grams of steak. If you are missing a little bit of protein by the end of the day, or you want to boost it in the morning, a quick scoop of protein powder in some water or a smoothie or something like that is an absolutely excellent way of getting extra protein into your diet. And please don't be scared of consuming protein shakes. It's really not, as we discussed at the beginning of the slides, it's not going to make you big and bulky. It's just a really good way of getting extra protein in. So take a look at this, guys. Your serving sizes and all here contain 25 grams of protein. So what the point of this slide was, if you've got, say, 98 grams of protein per day, that's, say, 100 grams. If I choose, say, 4 of these, that would be 100 grams of protein. So if I had 30 grams of protein in the morning for my breakfast, and then at dinner time I had 110 grams of chicken, and then at dinner time I had a little bit of steak, 120 grams of steak, and maybe with my protein powder in the morning I might have a few eggs, or sometime in the afternoon I might have a little bit of yogurt with some fruit. 260 grams of yogurt would be 25 grams of protein. So 1, 2, 3, 4 portions of this, and I would have got my protein in for the day. It's just a little example so you can refer to it. Let's look at vegetarians as well. So it says, there's a little note down here, guys. Please be careful of the calorie content of some of these vegetarian sources of protein. Getting 50 grams of protein from peanut butter would cost me, almost 1,200 calories. So if you're on a weight loss diet, obviously consuming a lot of peanut butter, there's a lot of calories in peanut butter. So although you're getting protein, you're not necessarily, you're consuming a lot of calories in the process. So just be careful when you're choosing vegetarian sources of protein. as they can sometimes be quite high in calories, and it works against a weight loss diet when we're trying to consume enough protein. But basically, you've got some vegetarian sources here, guys, as well. You've got it. So again, like quinoa, 180 grams of quinoa has 25 grams of protein, but it also has 600 calories, which is quite high. But yeah, basically, guys, that's the one. That's the slide there for vegetarians. So all of these portion sizes contain 25 grams of protein for a vegetarian diet. Now, if you don't want to get too consumed with numbers and sitting down and working out your equations and things like that, there is a really simple way to work out how much protein to get in per day if you don't want to sit down and weigh all your food and get too lost in these numbers, weighing out your food and things like that throughout the day. Some people really don't have the time necessarily to do that, and also it's not always that healthy to do so, to get really consumed with numbers. Basically, we can look at this here, and we did discuss this at the beginning of our course. We can use the palm technique here. So basically, 3 to 4 times per day, if you ate a palm-sized piece of protein, you're going to be pretty much there. People's palm sizes and hand sizes are different. They're different sizes. So mine would be different to a friend of mine versus a client. So your palm is quite individual to you. So if you're a smaller person, you won't need as much protein as a bigger person. So your palm would be smaller than a bigger person. So if you look at this here, basically, as I say, a palm-sized portion of protein 3 to 4 times a day, and you'll be absolutely fine. And that is that. It's really simple. Thank you for listening. If you do have any more questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And if you want to know a little bit more, please ask that as well. I hope that this has answered some of your questions. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.